Okay, so now that it's 2026, it's another January wrap up. I can't believe I did this for a year. That's kind of cool. Pause. Sorry. The reason, as you can tell, that this video is just a little late for the January wrap up is in January I was in Canada, and I'm assuming maybe just like all of the traveling or maybe the cold weather, I don't know, but I ended up with pneumonia and RSV, so dealing with that, which is also why I don't have a lot of like reads for the month, because I was both having, my time in Canada, but also just got very sick. So not much time for reading for me when I was sleeping a lot. But I did read, this is a book, and I think it got I think I have like the indie version of the book. It's in my hands. This one. It's Knives, Seasoning, and a Dash of Love by Katrina Kwan. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the version I have is like the indie version when it first came out. So sorry. And then like it's been redone with like a cute like little blue cover. I like the indie version. I think it's cute. However, as cute as that is and how very obviously Raylo coded is, so of course I don't know how to say it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna read it if it's Raylo coded. But like it does have an interesting premise outside of that, and it, like I said, it's very obviously heavily Raylo coded. But despite all that, the chemistry lacked just so deeply for that to be considered a romance book. And I hate to put romance books in a box, but like I feel like if you're writing a romance book, it should have good chemistry, and that just I don't know, it just didn't. Like, first of all, on top of that, like nothing really stood out. The plot just didn't even really read much like a cohesive story either. In fact, and I feel like if you like write or read fanfic, you will know what I'm talking about when I say this, but like it felt more like, instead of a like fully coherent plot design and like we're getting somewhere with the story, it very much feels like you're like weekly, bi-weekly like fanfic drop of a story where it's kind of like, this is what the author wanted to like present as like fanfic of the week sort of thing. And it really kind of like made the book itself very like boring for me. It really faltered, and I think it is due to perhaps a really deep need for editing. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I have the indie version. I don't know if like the other version got like edited more or something like that. I'm just going off what I had, but for me, it was just so full of fluff, and the characters, even once they like quite quickly in the book got together, acted outside of what was presented before the relationship, right? Sorry. Like I just didn't like that either. Like I don't know. I feel like if that had gone through a good bit more editing and maybe like a tighter write in, it wouldn't have been such a disappointment for me. Also, of course, plug, The 90s Never Happened, the podcast that I do with Daniel Agan and Bree Rose. Here's a picture of it. Because of this podcast, which you should totally listen if you're into comics, made me have to read for some recording 4 more SpiderMan comics that are in the Maximum Carnage plot line. That's kind of like our first little plot line that they wanted to do, and so that's what we're, wrapping up. For me, it's fine. It's very 90s, and I'm noticing very quickly that 90s comics have a lot of problematic issues, so it kind of dampens the reading experience for me. But like outside of that, this specific run, which I believe is 12 or 13 issues, and I'm like close to, I think I have like one more left to finish that out. But these 4 that I read specifically felt like such a clear disconnect from like the beginning of like let's say like the first like 5 or so, right? And then you get like to these, and it's like I feel like we're just like throwing in a bunch of characters, or like just like making like random reasons to like not deal with Carnage. It's kind of silly at this point for me. So like the quality at this point is lacking. That's all I really read for January. I do have a DNF, but like I said, where I got sick and I was out, reading was not very in the cards for me for January. But I did have a DNF. It is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. very cute. Like I saw this, I think I bought this when it came, I don't know. It was on the table at Barnes and Noble for like one of the like new picks or whatever. So, and I was like, oh yeah, of course. I really want to read. I feel like I've noticed a trend with some of my, romance reading has been very like, hetero, couplings. So like when I saw like, you know, the queer cover and things like that, I was like, yes, that's something that I really would prefer to like pursue more. However, for me, like, I don't know. I love the premise of it. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I had to pause reading that multiple times because I didn't want to DNF it. I really wanted to give it like a real chance, but, and like, I'm going to complain about this. I'm so tired of so many books, and I don't want to just say it's romance because I've read like horrors that do this. I've read thrillers that do this, you know, but I've noticed the trend is worse in romance books, and it's the tone and the verbal, like, I guess usage, I don't know, like the use of like how they talk and stuff, right? Like the communication style and stuff. Everything is so painfully millennial, and that book is probably one of the worst offenders of it. Like, I just couldn't get past it. I have noticed in any book that I read, a lot of my DNFs really do come down to if I cannot deal with like how they do dialogue or how like the quote unquote like inner voice, right? Even like the inner voice of certain books for like, you know, like your main character, if it's like first person or something like that. I cannot stand the like millennial talk or like the millennial slang. And like when these books are getting published way outside of what would be like the vibe for certain like slang usage, and you're not putting in your book that it isn't quote unquote like a present day, right? Like if you haven't stated that like, oh, this was like in the 90s or early 2000s, it feels so dated and weird. And I'm not saying to like go toss in like current slang either. I feel like that dates any book at any given point. But yeah, the millennial thing is just really starting to drive me nuts with a lot of like books, and I've noticed like that's like a big DNF trend for me. But yeah, like I realize I think I only got to like chapter 6 or 7, but I feel like after every chapter I was taking lengthy amount of like pausing breaks to be like, well, I don't want to DNF this, just give it to, and I was like, I'm DNFing it. I can't actually stick to the story without like being annoyed or bored by it. But yeah, that's all I got to really read in January. I'm hoping that I can get a few more things read for February. But yeah, I've noticed a little bit of like a burnout. And for anyone who's like watched like the bulk of these videos at this point that I've done, I think I read like almost 200 books last year. So this year I kind of want to just like vibe and not get so like aggressively stressy over how many books I read. So yeah, that was that. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next.